Entertainment. I'm Christopher Millette.
And I'm Abby Rooney, and today we're talking about
The Day the Earth Stood Still is a remake of the 1950s sci-fi classic where Klaatu the alien comes down to Earth with his giant robot Gort. The entire world is in a panic, wondering what he wants, and rightfully so. This movie was directed by Scott Derrickson, who also wrote and directed The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and stars Keanu Reeves, and the movie also stars Jennifer Connelly. So how was it?
This was an incredibly well done film. It was entertaining. It had a great storyline. I really liked it.
Well, if I hadn't seen the original Day the Earth Stood Still, I would have just thought, oh, it's Keanu Reeves doing that again.
Well, it was kind of a flat character anyways. I mean, he was pretty, that was who he was playing.
In the 1950s version, Klaatu was just like that. So it was almost typecasting to get Keanu Reeves, like he was the obvious choice.
Right, very almost robotic, you know?
Yes. And there wasn't really one line that I thought was at all interesting. I thought the dialogue was totally flat.
Really?
So,
well, it wasn't a terribly exciting or fast-paced movie, but I thought that the storyline was just beautiful.
I thought there was a lot in the storyline, and it kept me going, but I do not think anyone's ever going to say, oh, like when they said this in The Day the Earth Stood Still.
That's true.
Though, with that, as a remake, I really liked the respect of the original movie. They did an excellent job of taking the original concept and updating it and making modern sci-fi out of the 1950s sci-fi. Though I think the 1950s version still holds up. Like a good example, Gort, the robot, in the 1950s version looks pretty much exactly the way he looks in this one. He's 8 feet tall in the original, where he's, 30 feet tall in this one?
They had to make it bigger and better, more amazing, yeah.
And we just had more money, so we could do it higher. Well, no, we have CGI now, where they just had to find a really tall guy. What did you think of the effects in general?
The effects were fine, but the movie was not about the special effects. I really thought that it was about the storyline. So if you're looking for a sci-fi, lots of special effects, this was not the movie for that.
I thought I liked the effects better than the
oh my God,
actual
we're
movie.
totally not agreeing on
Did we see the same movie? Like, what theater were you in? Yeah, I thought the effects was what brought it through to me, and I really think, especially compared to Emily Rose was a well-crafted story that was spiked with special effects to bump it up even more.
Right.
Where this, I think, was a special effects film with a story well done enough that it didn't take away from the effects. It wasn't like Transformers, where the effects were amazing and mind-blowing to the point where you didn't notice until after you left that the story is so full of holes it was pathetic. Yeah. Well, it was the Transformers. Cars turned into robots and fought each other. This had enough of a story to not be insulting.
I'm so surprised. See, I thought that it was as good as The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Well, Emily Rose was probably a little bit better. But
I'm gonna wear you down. No. See, I thought.
But I could tell. I could tell that they were actually done by the same person.
Yes.
They seemed very similar. Yeah.
There were a lot of nice touches. There was a lot. It kept you engaged. There was a lot to think about. I didn't really care about the characters. If they died, I would have thought, oh, too bad the world's gone. But I wouldn't have missed them. I think Exorcism of Emily Rose showed superior filmmaking, and it was, well, I put it in my list of movies I think everybody should see, because it was that good on every level. Where this movie, I thought was entertaining, but I could have waited for DVD. Some of the best filmmaking was when they had the giant robot in the cell underground, and you have the arrogant government type who walks in. This is one of the points where I think the special effects just bumped up what was going on. He's trying to be all calm, but as he walks across the room, that little laser eye follows him. And I think there was some good acting there, and maybe it's just I saw the situation, I read in that he was uncomfortable. That scene reminded me of the great filmmaking that was in Emily Rose.
Right.
And I would have liked more of it.
One of the things that I really like about a movie is one that I can't stop thinking about it for days afterwards, and that's how I felt about this movie. I just kept thinking about it.
Is it good for kids?
Well, there's certainly not anything that's terribly graphic in the movie, although some of the subject matter is a little bit above kids. I don't think kids would really enjoy it.
They'd enjoy some of the action sequences.
Right, but the rest, I think they would probably
Yeah.
get bored, or they wouldn't really understand what's going on.
They're not shy about killing and blood and people die. It's an intense movie,
Right.
but they never dwell on it.
One of the things that I found incredibly annoying in the movie is that the woman will not stop lying to her stepson. Like, even to the point that it gets ridiculous. I mean, like, obviously he knows what's going on. Like, when she was calling about, you know, oh, there's just a storm or something's going on, that was one
Right.
thing. But I mean, it gets to the point of being ridiculous. They're running around with this alien and she's still trying to make up stories.
Yeah, and there is that intense family situation. She's the stepmom and the dad's dead.
Kind of an awkward relationship.
Which I think is there for the adults, not
Right.
for kids, but the kids are going to relate to the child.
What about spiritual issues?
The original The Day the Earth Stood Still leaned heavily on Christ symbolism with Klaatu, and he even referenced God to point out that he wasn't an alternative Christ or a new Christ, that God is God. In the new one, they claim to have toned down the Christ symbolism, which I think only amounts to the fact that he doesn't get renamed John Carpenter. They instead also use heavy Old Testament symbolism, from a modern version of a plague of locusts from the book of Joel to straight discussions of Noah's Ark. There's a bunch of really fun Old Testament, which actually that made the movie more enjoyable to me, to identify those
Yeah.
things. In this movie, Klaatu still is a Christ figure. There's some obvious Christ symbolism. They paint him much more as a reluctant Christ figure. And I want to relate him more to Jonah, where he came wanting to destroy the earth. And he thought we deserved to be destroyed for the horrors we did, and almost seemed reluctant and disappointed that it wasn't going to happen. But then he takes on the idea of Savior and sacrificing himself to save us.
Although Jesus struggled before he went to the cross.
But he never...
But he didn't actually kill people.
Right, right. Jesus struggled with whether or not he was willing to go through with the pain, not
Right.
are these people
Go
worth
worth it.
saving? Yes. They definitely used Old Testament symbolism. They definitely used Christ symbolism. But the message of the movie was very save the earth and recycle focused.
See, I didn't see that. I did see that humanity was on the path to destruction. They caused it themselves. You know, they were in trouble. However, humanity needed an intercessor to save them.
The thing I liked about it was he saw the answer is simple: kill off the humans. And he even says, which I was disturbed at first when he said this, there is no real death. Everything's just changed. And he explains that, like, matter is matter. It can't be destroyed or created. And what he finds out, and this was semi-subtle, maybe that's it. I wanted this to be as well pointed out as the negative.
Right.
He was willing to kill off humanity because, hey, you'll just be recycled through and the earth will live. But the human experience, which is set up at the beginning of the movie.
That actually was one of my most favorite scenes in the movie. There was this beautiful conversation that this man who's been living among the human race for 70 years, and he even admits their imperfection and that they probably won't change, but he talks about how he's enjoyed this time and how he just loves the other humans, and he's enjoyed his time being a human, and even though his life is going to come to an end, that it was really important to him. I thought that scene was great.
So what's our recommendation?
I would definitely say to go see it.
Rent the 1950s Day the Earth Stood Still, and then do see this one. I also recommend it if you have friends who are seeing it. This is a great conversation starter, because I love the way they handle the environmental issue, and beyond that, discussing the symbolism in this movie may also lead to conversations about the Bible, God, and the meaning of life. On YouTube, please click subscribe. On our blog, please click the RSS feed. His next film is actually going to be Paradise Lost.
Oh, really?
Yes, the complete story of Satan's rebellion as a Catholic